What is going on, everyone? It's me, the Psycho Ripper, here with the second part of the id Super Pack breakdown. I'd first like to apologize for sounding so quiet in the first part of it. I was kind of tired when I recorded the audio, and hopefully I won't be as quiet. I'm a little more energetic, a little less tired than last time. In this part, we're going to break down the 4 hexen games that come with the id Super Pack. So, without any more hesitation, let's get into it. First up, we have Hereti, Shadow of the Serpent Riders. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not very good at this game, so don't expect a really good speed run to this level. I'm playing on the second easiest difficulty because I suck. Anyway, actually it's because I haven't really gotten used to this game's control scheme. It uses the same control scheme as the original Doom, and that's something I was never used to, and why I use Doom 95 to play Doom and do the coverage for that on the first part of the video. Now, getting into Heretic though. Speaking of Doom, this game runs on a modified version of the Doom engine, and you can easily tell because this game very much feels like a Doom clone. Now, is this necessarily a bad thing? It's not a horrible thing, but it's lacking a lot of originality. I mean, the main originality in this game is the character design. It's very neat. The atmosphere of this game is pretty cool. However, gameplay-wise, it does feel like Doom. And, unfortunately, I'm going to be honest, and I'll show you in a second, one of the biggest examples is how it does. The enemies are somewhat cool, and this game does get quite tough, though, I'll give it that much. Music for this game is also pretty decent. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And here, we're going to show you an example real quick. First, let me kill this guy. Now, one of the biggest examples that makes me call this a Doom clone is watch. This weapon right here is basically the chainsaw from Doom. And I mean that because it even falls onto the enemy like a chainsaw from Doom. I mean, it feels like they just literally stripped the coating from the chainsaw and put it onto this thing. Anyway, back to it though. Gameplay's not bad though. This isn't a horrible game, but it's nothing spectacular. It's stuff you've probably played before. However, the one cool thing about this game that is not... It makes it somewhat more original is the fact that it actually is one of the first shooting games to use an inventory system. And that becomes really helpful when you're desperate for health, because you can have things like quartz flasks, which give you extra health, and torches, which help light up dark areas, and other things. As well as a power-up called the Tome of Power, which is a book that basically makes you godlike. And by that I mean it gives your weapons unbelievable firepower. Where did that bow go? I thought I got it already. Did I miss it? I might have. Anyways, this game also, it's pretty well known at this point that this game is full of secrets, just like any id Software shooting game. Anyways, Heretic is Shadow of the Serpent Riders, comes with plenty of gameplay because it has the original Heretic 3 episodes as well as 2 expansion episodes, which can consume more time and add a few more challenging levels. Nonetheless, do not expect this to be a fully original game. This does feel a lot like this pretty much is a Doom clone, and it got relatively mediocre reviews back in the day for it. Nonetheless, it doesn't make it a completely horrible game. I'm still trying to play through it because it's decent and I like the atmosphere, but anyways, it's definitely not the most original game in the pack. Alright, up next we have Hexen Beyond Heretic, the sequel to Heretic, in case the name Beyond Heretic didn't give it away already. Now this game, unfortunately, was given average praise due to the fact that they said it doesn't stand up to its big brother Doom, which, granted, both run on the same engine, just this version's modified. That's not exactly a fair comparison because they're not exactly the same game. It's not as much of a clone as Heretic was to Doom as Hexen is. What's interesting about Hexen is this game actually has 3 classes you can choose from to play with. Now I'm using the cleric class, which is one of my favorites because I like maces, but all three of the classes have their own uniquities and specials and their own weapon sets that make them different characters. So you can definitely get three good playthroughs in if you wanted to. Personally, I really do enjoy this game a good amount. It's a good game. Compared to Doom, it's not the same game. It's not as fast-paced, but it's still decent. I love the level design and atmosphere of this game. That's really the selling point for me for this, and I never actually got the chance to play Hexen one beforehand, so I'm glad I got this in the pack. Now, unlike Doom or anything, this does not actually, or even Heretic, this doesn't actually play levels. You actually have to go through large missions and different parts of things. You have to do a lot of traveling and such. But it's actually kind of cool. It's something different. This almost feels more like an adventure first-person shooter than like a fast-paced gun-and-down shooting game. Which isn't a bad thing, because it adds for something different. However, one thing that's weird is this game does put a lot of emphasis on close-range combat, and this can be a problem at times because in harder difficulties you get more enemies coming at you at once, so fighting them can be a little difficult. Now, I can't grab that damn cape for some reason. This game also uses inventory that was available in Heretic, and it's also extremely important because you get items like the flechette, which can help you with combating multiple enemies. Anyways, another interesting thing about this game is the traps they have that are set up at certain parts of levels. I always thought that's pretty cool, but nonetheless, Hexen is a fun game, definitely interesting. I love the atmosphere, I love the style. It's not as fast-paced or exciting as Doom, but the general gameplay itself is pretty good, and the level design is pretty slick too. Anyways, definitely should give this game a shot, and oh my god, there's a lot of enemies coming at me. Yeah. Don't let reviews saying that this doesn't stand up to Doom unattract you from this game, because it is pretty decent. Anyways. Next we have Hexen, Death Kings of the Dark Citadel. As much as that sounds like a role-playing game, this is really just an expansion to the original Hexen. Now I'm playing as the fighter class in this one because as much as I like the cleric, the fighter class is my second favorite because nothing is more gratifying than punching your opponent in the face till they're reduced to a bloody pulp. This guy learned something from Doom, obviously. You know, there's not much I can really say that it wasn't already said in Hexen, because this is like just an expansion, just new levels, and slightly more challenge, I guess I should say, because these levels are a little more difficult. But anyways, it's still, you know, the same gameplay, nothing terribly different, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you liked Hexen, you should definitely play this because it just offers you more Hexen to play. And as I beat up the Violator, I'll go ahead and give you some closing statements saying that the original Hexen and this game are pretty fun, despite what reviews say, because it is not exactly a Doom clone like they try to make it sound like. Alright, up next we have Hexen 2, the sequel to Hexen, which actually doesn't run on the Doom engine, it runs on, nonetheless, the Quake engine. As you can tell, the menu layout is pretty much the same as Quake's is, I guess you could say, and this one actually has 4 classes to play with instead of the typical 3. Now let's go ahead and play this. I am playing on an easier difficulty because I'm a scrub and I have not played this game very long. Now, in the detail, you can easily tell graphics-wise this looks like... Oh shit, my mouse isn't plugged in, this is a problem. Okay, problem solved. Anyway, you can tell look-wise this runs off the Quake engine because it looks graphically-wise at the level Quake is. Now, the downfall of this game is that you can't play the CD quality music it comes with on that disc. You can instead only play the MIDI file that are on this. Now then. The gameplay itself is pretty much similar to the original Hexens, just slightly modified, I guess you could say, for the 3D atmosphere. And there's a couple new weapons and such, a couple new enemies, so it's not entirely the same game. But if you played the previous Hexens, you'll be somewhat familiar with this. I actually like playing this with a mouse. It makes it a little easier to control weapons and such when I'm engaging in combat, because this is a lot of close range combat like the other Hexen games. The MIDI files, even though they aren't CD quality, aren't bad, so if you want to play with music, this is your best option. You got the inventory system like you do with the original Hexen, and unless this is a decent sequel, it's not necessarily, however, a stellar game. I mean, it's not a bad game by any means, but there's nothing about it particularly that stands out. It's pretty much just a 3D Hexen running on the Quake engine. But nonetheless, if you like, you like the Hexen games, or you want, like, games of this atmosphere, this is definitely worth checking out. And it's I would definitely want to finish playing through this, because it's really not necessarily a bad game, but it's not a selling point. So I guess you could say the Heretic and Hexen games are pretty decent games, but they alone are not worth buying the id Super Pack. Oh, hello, Lamb. Oh my god, I just blew up Lamb with an ice rod. This doesn't make sense anymore. But yeah. Nonetheless, the Heretic and Hexen games are definitely worth at least one playthrough if you're interested in old school PC games. Anyways, this concludes part 2 of the id Super Pack. I'm Sarah Cooper, and I hope you enjoyed it.